Hello beautiful people, my name is Bridget and welcome back. So today's video is going to be a ranking all of my Jeffree Star palettes. I have 10 palettes here that are Jeffree Star, and today we're going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. Of course, these are my own personal opinions. We all have different palette preferences, and I have all of these on their first release, so things that came out a long time ago, maybe they're reformulated to make better, I don't know. Again, we all have different tastes and stuff, but I'm going to try to do this in the best, like, formula-wise, instead of just like what I've used the most. I feel like that's the most fair way to do this. Of course, I'm going to give like why I like something and stuff, but I want to do this as like what I think is the best quality. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to today's video. Alright guys, as always, all makeup on this channel is cruelty-free, so is Jeffree Star Cosmetics. All these palettes are vegan formulas as well, and if you're not subscribed to my channel already, I would love if you did that. I'd greatly appreciate it. And now, let's jump into it, and we'll start off with number 10. This is technically not a Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette, it is a Jeffree Star collab. So this number 10 is the Morphe and Jeffree Star palette. I thoroughly enjoy trying this out, but I do feel like the formula is just, it's just a Morphe formula. I feel like it's a little bit better than normal Morphe formula that I've tried anyways. I haven't tried too much, but it's just an okay palette. It is a lot of shades for the price. However, this glitter shade in here is not, it ruins any look you put it on. I do feel like these are very dry in formula. I'm used to much softer pigmentation with Jeffree Star products, but of course he didn't make this palette. But yeah, it's just a Morphe palette. It's a little bit better than Morphe regular formula, but it's nothing out of this world. They are very dry. You can get them to work, honestly. Like, you can do, it's not like a terrible palette or anything, but they're just a lot more dry and harder to work with. They take more time to work with than they would a normal, more high-end palette, which is to be expected. Alright, so number 9 is a palette, my first ever Jeffree Star product that I reviewed and did not like. So this is the Androgyny palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. So this palette is just chalky. It was just chalky on first release. It still is. I probably use this palette a lot more because I've used this shade. I used it today so you can see how it looks. It's a little warm for me these days, but honestly, if you're anything warmer than me, which is super cool, this is the most beautiful contour color. It is stunning. I do really like the top row. The top row is beautiful. The bottom row is just really dry. I do find it kind of patchy with the bluey, greeny, bluey shades here. I don't find it the best. These are just extremely dry shadows. I feel like the green shade is the best one from the bottom row. The top row, though, honestly, is really nice. There's only 2 shimmers in this palette, which I do enjoy. This is a beautiful highlight color. It is just like a golden hue to it. Oh, I don't know why did I swatch that on my knuckle. It's just a golden hue, so if you have a medium to deeper complexion, that'd be a beautiful highlight. If you have a cool tone, this is a really good contour color. It looks better on that side. But overall, the palette is just so dry, and half the palette I don't even want to use at all. So these 3 shades I'll use. I don't use any of the rest of the palette, honestly. So this was just really dry and inconsistent for me. I'm not a fan of the Androgyny palette. But because the top row is usable and better formula and a really big pan size, I ranked it higher than the Morphe palette. Next up at number 8 is Jeffree Star's original palette, the Beauty Killer palette. This was really good and I really enjoyed it when it first came out, but just eyeshadow standards a couple years ago are a lot different than they are now because eyeshadow is like such a big deal apparently, even though it's just colors on your eyes. But the Beauty Killer palette, I still love the packaging. I wish he would go back to these. These are super easy to store, they're super easy to travel with. You can fit these in one of your Jeffree Star makeup bags and have tons of room left. But this is the Beauty Killer palette. I feel like we've all seen it. A couple of these shadows are pretty dry. The mattes are more dry in formula. You can definitely still get pigmentation off of them. I still dipped into a ton. Like, I almost hit pan on the corner of the shade China White because it's a beautiful lid shade to like set your eyelid primer with. The shade Courtney too. It's like the softer of the matte formulas in here. It's pretty relatively, it's kind of hard to see on the finger, but it's pretty good. The shade Princess is actually the Princess Cut highlighter. It's just the original form, but you can also use it as a highlighter as well. It's just a little bit of a pinkier undertone. Here's Princess and Courtney swatched out. I do find that the other mattes in here, other than Courtney, are a little bit drier. I do quite like the formulation of the pink. I feel like it's really bold and bright pink. The black diamond shade with a little bit of glitter in there is pretty unique too, but for me, they're just more dry in formula. So it's not something I ever reached for anymore, but I did really enjoy it when it first came out. Coming in at number 7 is the Mini Controversy palette in collaboration with Shane Dawson. I love the rainbowiness of this palette. It's so cute. So I do really like this palette. I did do a 3 looks 1 palette using this, so you can get some ideas of looks to do. I did really different looks with it. But this is the palette color scheme. I quite enjoy this palette, but I do find that like the blue and the purple matte in here, and this shade as well, are just very more on the dry side. They're still really easy to work with. I still made some nice looks with them, and I really enjoy the shimmer formula, especially this one. I feel like this one's so soft and nice. But I just find that this blue shade and this purple shade and this shade right here are just a little bit dry in formula. So it is not the most luxurious feeling Jeffree Star palette, but honestly the color scheme is still really cute to me, and you can make a nice neutral look out of this, which I enjoy, especially if I want to do a neutral look and add a little bit of color. I feel like it's easy for that. So I do like this palette, but the mattes are not my absolute favorite in the world. Number 6 is the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Thirsty palette. I almost forgot about this one until I used it the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, this palette. So my most, oh, here's the color scheme. Let me show you the color scheme. Yeah, I feel like this is like a forgotten about Jeffree palette. The most used shade in here for me is Kumquat, which is this like orangey shade, and then this taupe shade for like the lid. I do like it. Let me just swatch this one for you. I feel like the mattes are okay in here. They're pretty decent. I just find he tried a different formula with these glitter shades. They are very nice, and they're like super blinding and everything, but they're just not my favorite. They take a lot of like building up. They can be so, like, I'll take another swatch in here. They can be so beautiful and like stunning. Like, that's beautiful, but it does take a little bit more effort to get it there. So I do find the formula in these mattes and stuff are a little bit on the drier side, but actually really easy to use, especially with the colors. I still feel like they're really easy to use, and the yellow shade in here lasts a really long time, which I like. But with the weird glitter formula, that is absolutely stunning, don't get me wrong, but it does take a little bit more work to make beautiful and stunning. I don't know, I just don't find myself reaching for it, and this color scheme doesn't blow me away like it did when I first bought it. I think I was just so hyped about having the newest beautiful Jeffree Star palette, and now I never reach for this. So it's an okay formula, honestly, but I'd prefer a more like really soft shimmer formula to this glittery one, if that makes any sense. Number 5 is the palette that I have on my eyes today, which very simple orangey yellow look, and this is the Mini Breaker palette. Honestly, I stopped using this forever. Like, I reviewed it and left it alone because I just felt like it was okay. But honestly, after going back in here a couple times, I really do enjoy this. Of course, the matte purple shades are a little bit more of a dry formula, but they are still really easy to build up, especially pack them on and blend them out. They're really easy to blend out. I do love the shimmers in here. So the one I have on my eyelid is called Slice. It's so pretty. And then I'll swatch the matte that I have along with this yellow one. I have this orange one up there. They look like this. They're just so beautifully pigmented. The shimmers in here are stunning. Like, this one swatch of this shimmer formula from Jeffree Star in comparison to the gold swatch we just did with Thirsty, it's just so much easier to work with. It doesn't take that much building up, and it's still just as beautifully and blinding. So whereas I don't really use for purple eyeshadow very often at all, the formula of this one is really good, so I have to give like a shout out to this little palette and make it number 5. Next up at number 4, and I had a really hard time placing this one. It was a little difficult. But this is the Blood Sugar palette. This palette, when this came out, you definitely saw like a huge change in Jeffree Star's formula. So back before this one, I believe it was just Androgyny and Beauty Killer. Yeah, it was just Androgyny and Beauty Killer, and then Thirsty, and then this one. Was it Thirsty and then this one, or was it this one and Thirsty? I don't know. But those palettes pale in comparison to the quality of this one. So the other 2 mini palettes we just talked about came out after this one, but this one just changed his eyeshadow formula game so much, and it was so sought after. I'm so glad I was able to get it on the first launch. But this is the color scheme. I feel like we've all seen it. This train case thing, big, bulky, actually pretty hard to open. It's a little bit difficult to open, but it's stunning. It's like a little display, and it's so cute. My cat still uses a scratching post though. So the color scheme of this one, the reason I ranked this number 4 is a couple of them, like this one, and these 2 are a little bit more on the dry side. I do feel like this gray also isn't the easiest thing in the world to work with, but most of the shades in here are so pigmented. They're so buttery, creamy, whatever you want to say, and really nice. So the majority of these, especially like, let's do Sweetener, and we'll do, I don't know, Root Canal, this purple, and swatch it out for you. So these are what the swatches look like. You can't really see that one. But these are just so easy to work with. I feel like this palette was actually really easy to make work no matter what kind of look you want to do, because if you look at the thing as a whole, it looks like a really warm palette, but if you use just the top row, it's all neutrals. So I did a whole week of looks using this palette when it first came out, and I don't reach for it that much because I don't use warm eyeshadows, but the formula in here is amazing. I don't use warm eyeshadow, wears orange eyeshadow all the time. Alright, these top three were so difficult. They were so difficult. Number 3 is the Blue Blood palette. The formula of this is just so good. Again, it was the second ever little like case looking thing from Jeffree. I do think this is, just like the Blood Sugar, this is abnormally big and bulky and hard to store, but now that he's doing more of these, they're easier to stack together, so I guess that's okay. I like that it looks like a coffin, but I love this. This is my favorite. This was like one of my favorite products of 2019 when I did that video because it's stunning. These two shades right here, the shade Blue Monday and Flourishing, I think it is. Yeah, these two shades right here were the two that I didn't like in the palette because they didn't come off true to color on the eyes. They came off very purple instead of blue, which I don't know how that happened, but it did not look like the same color on the eyelids. But this has one of my favorite shades ever. I used it for my inner corner, but I've had this makeup on for like 4 hours, so it's not there as much as it was at one point when I meant to film this a while back. But Cullinan, it's so soft. It's so soft and beautiful. And then let's do a matte. I'll take, oh no, I'm not gonna do a matte. I'm gonna do the shade Ice Tray, which is right here in the center. It's actually my favorite shade in the palette other than Cullinan. We'll do a matte too, why not? We'll do, we'll do Blue Blood because that's the name of the palette. We'll do Blue Blood swatch. These are just so pigmented. Like, the quality of this palette is so good. Those two shades are not how they look in the pan, which does make me a little bit angry. That's a matte, you guys. That's matte swatched so beautifully. So honestly, I absolutely adore this palette. If you were looking for a good blue palette, look no further. I love the Colourpop blue palette, the Blue Moon palette too. But if you like a bunch of different tints of blue, this is beautiful and I love it very much. I really do. Like, those two shades really did bother me when I first got it. I was like, why don't these look like they should? But I found myself reaching for this a lot. I had to like stop myself from using it for a while because I just wanted to keep using it. The girl's lazy and wants an easy eye look. With colorful, that's the palette to go for. Next up, number 2 is the Conspiracy palette with Shane Dawson. We already talked about the mini controversy, but number 2 is the Conspiracy, the big one. I actually have a shelf up here that has the box for this palette. It's a moment. I love it very much. So I wouldn't say the formula of this one is like tip-top favorite ever in the world, but it is really, really good. My favorite thing, so my highlight today, which again has been on for hours but still looks really nice, is the shade Ranch. I probably shouldn't even swatch it in this video because I'm going to hit pan on it. And I'm also going to swatch, let's say, Not a Fact, which is this maroony shade. I like the fact that this color scheme is all over the place. That's what some people complained about, right? But I feel like because a lot of these other colors aren't in other Jeffree Star palettes, like we don't have some of these shades in other Jeffree Star palettes. Like we don't have a true red. Even in the Blood Sugar palette, we have like a more, I don't know, it's a different tone. Like we don't have like all these greens, like this dark green in here, this like nice silvery shade, except in that one palette it has like a, it's like one of those glitter formulas in the Thirsty palette. We don't have like this green. We don't have some of these shades in here. My favorite thing in this palette is this top row for making a really nice neutral look. So again, I'll go into this Ranch shade for highlighter, inner corner highlight on the lid. These neutrals are beautiful. I feel like the shimmers, like the darker shimmers in here, blend out beautifully. You can make a really good look. There's 1 or 2 shades in here that which take a little bit more time to work with, but you can definitely still get there. The yellow shade and the mint shade in here are not my favorite shades ever, but it's overall a really cool color scheme to me. I really like it, and especially since I've been getting into darker color schemes, this one just calls to me because I can still get like fun colors, but also like bring it down a little bit. So I really love this one, and the packaging is stunning. Hey guys, Editing Bridget here, and I forgot about the Alien palette because I keep this in another drawer. I actually use this for my eyebrows every day. I switch between the Moonspell palette by Leonard Beauty, but most of the times I use this purple shade in the middle of the palette for the Alien palette as my eyebrows. The Alien palette is really awkward to store, but I love the kind of grungier color scheme in it. I don't like that the eyeballs are 3D, but the quality of this palette is so good. So if we say I took out the Morphe palette, since it's not a Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette, I would rank this palette probably at number 3. I would put it right underneath Conspiracy. Just because I feel like Conspiracy is easier to store even though it's big and bulky, but this is awkward to store. But the quality of this is just out of this world. Alien, out of this world. Yeah, love this one. Just wanted to mention it. That's my drum roll for number 1, which is the palette I never use. I never use this. I even gave it to Adam to take to like do his own makeup for the haunt and stuff. So it's a palette I don't use. But the formula is probably the best, so that's why it's number 1. It's an amazingly big palette. It's pretty expensive, but the formula is just really good, and this is the Jawbreaker palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. The palette itself, I love how thin it is. It's easy to store. It is a little bit bigger and bulkier, but it's not a train case, so it is easier to store still. This palette color scheme is all over the place. Some people say the Conspiracy palette is all over the place. This is all over the place. But it's a really good palette to have for reference if you need a certain color. I had the NYX Ultimate Basics palette where you have like a range of colors, and people keep like the Electric palette from Urban Decay and things like that, the Movie Loca by Kat Von D around to like if you need a specific color. This is the palette you should really just have for specific colors, and the formula of this is so good. I don't think there was a shade in here that I really disliked at all. I feel like they were all pretty good. The Licorice shade, the Pure Red, is a little bit more on the dry side. I remember that. And then I think those blue shades Soaps I'm not too crazy about. But honestly, the color scheme is crazy, but you can still make a nice look out of it. It is more difficult to figure out what kind of look you're going to do. If you're doing something neutral, you have a couple options with like these first 2 shades, the browns down here, and like the pink shimmer on the lid. But again, if you need a nice reference with a really good pop of color, and the formulas are so pretty. So let's do Cherry Wet, which was a shade. Oh, that looks like that. That's such a pretty swatch. We'll do another matte. Let's take Delicious down here. And then we'll take a shimmer. So let's take the shimmer and What, which is this red. So here's some swatches on my fingers. I also like that this is so big, but you can fold it backwards, which is really nice. And I just feel like the formula of this one is out of this world. Whereas I don't use it that much because I don't ever need like specific color. I'm glad I have it for reference. And the quality is just so good. So if you find this color scheme appealing, definitely go for it because the quality of this palette and the formula is just great. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you lasted this long in the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate it. I'd love to know what you think of this list. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If you have all the Jeffree Star palettes, please let me know your favorite and your least favorite, at least out of the ones you've tried. So not everyone has every palette like a crazy person. But I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are. Bye.